Samuel L. Jackson is here. He is unquestionably the hardest working man in Hollywood, and all of that hard work has certainly paid off. He is now the actor with the highest grossing box office in history. Worldwide, his films have taken in $6 billion. His latest is Freedom Land, and here is the trailer for the film. Welcome, Samuel L. Jackson, back to this table. Welcome. Nice to have you here.
Thank you. It's always great to be here.
Now, this is true, that you now have the greatest, you have the largest amount of money
made for other people, yes, in Hollywood.
In Hollywood. You passed Harrison Ford.
Yes.
With The Incredibles.
Yes. And then Star Wars happened,
just put
and
you
it
way
just
in.
kind of put me way in a huge lead. So
And
Harrison's got to do some blockbusters to catch up.
Indiana Jones is coming up.
I'm trying to figure out a way to talk George into sneaking me in there somewhere, just so I can get my name in the credits, and I can use that as part of my box office.
Now, I didn't know this until I read this. Does this put you also, in terms of how much they're paying you, right up there with?
No, it has nothing to do with my salary whatsoever.
Okay. But your salaries continue to put you in a good place.
It's continued to put me in a good place.
And it continues to grow.
Yes.
You work so hard because you enjoy it, or are you slowing up a little?
No, I'm still as passionate about acting as I've always been. It's a great venue to work in. I still read 5 to 6 scripts a week, trying to find
a week.
Yeah, trying to find a good story that I want to tell. It's a lot more difficult than it was when I was going to auditions, only because there's a standard that's been set, not just by myself, but by the people that pay the money to come and see my films. And when people stop you on the street and tell you how much they appreciate your work and thank you for the kind of work that you do and thank you for the joy that you give, it's pressure to look at a script and say, I'd like to do this, but I don't think it's good enough for the people that are going to pay their money, and they're going to say, oh, he's just doing this, whatever. But then
it's
there
a payday
are times,
for him and not a loan.
Yeah, but then there are times when I pick up something and I open that cover and it says snakes on a plane, and I go, oh, well, yeah, I got to do this. Just because if this is what I think it is and not a euphemism for something else, then I'm doing this because I want to have that much fun doing a movie, and it's the kind of movie I'd go to the theaters, sit there and go, and I want to be in that. So I did it.
Yeah. Now, this one, why did you do this one?
Well, Freedom Land, interestingly enough, it's one of those movies that apparently I was supposed to do, because it's been chasing me for 6 to 7 years. The first time I read it, I turned it down. Second time I read it, I turned it down. Third time I read it, I turned it down. To the point where I think they actually went away and they attached some other people to it for a while, and then it comes back. But the problem was the story was always about Brenda. And Lorenzo's character was more of a facilitator for her, doing flashbacks and questioning her occasionally. So all of a sudden, this particular script comes, and he's a full-fleshed character. He has conflicts of his own to deal with, along with the conflict of trying to solve this particular dilemma that she's presented.
Now, did that happen because Joe Roth got his hands on it, and said this character ought to be developed?
Yeah, push Richard to make it a two-hander more than
this is Richard Price.
Yeah.
The writer.
To really make it a two-hander more so than just a star vehicle for the female character. And in doing that, he created Lorenzo, who was somebody that I could kind of sink my teeth into and find things that I haven't actually had an opportunity to do for a while on screen and when I was on stage. So it was a great challenge.
And she's pretty good as a co-star.
Julianne, so incredible. I mean, that was, a selling point. Joe Roth, Julianne Moore, okay, I can do it.
I can make this happen.
Yeah.
The story is what?
The story is there's a woman, a white woman, who is carjacked in a black housing project in New Jersey. And when she comes to the hospital, she eventually tells the officers that her son was in the car, which raises the alert. Now the question becomes...
You got racial overtones and everything else.
Yeah, can we find the car? Right. Can we get there? Her brother happens to be a policeman in the very next town over from this housing project, so they descend on the projects, creating a huge sort of, invasion of white people into this black community, and everybody that can't help you is part of the problem. So we have that powder keg going, and it's the projects that Lorenzo theoretically grew up in, and he protects in terms of him being a police officer in that particular city. Not to say that he never arrest people in there because he has. He's arrested people, mothers, fathers, sons, and he's protected mothers, fathers, and sons who are in there. So people look to him as a fair and honest kind of.
And he
gauge
has an
of how
ongoing
it's gonna
role
work.
in trying to keep people, young kids especially, out of trouble.
Yeah, walking
and
the
to
line.
accept responsibility
Yes.
for what they're doing.
Because of his irresponsibility with his own family, which you find out, as the story progresses.
I find that most people who come like you, Kiefer Sutherland in 24, likes this year because there's a lot of what do you call one of these side stories? It's what backstory, whatever it might be.
They help fill in the character and make him a well-rounded person, so that
it's
you
not
know
just
that they actually came from somewhere.
Yeah, then they have relationships and problems and friends and disappointments and all that other stuff.
Oh, of course, because people tend to think that you're a hero, then all these other things aren't part of your life. Like, he doesn't grocery shop, he doesn't call his mother, he doesn't talk to his kids. But all those things, they're outside pressures along with the conflict that's in the story. And sometimes I make them up for myself a lot.
And even if they're not there, because you want to define the character.
Right. And I want the character to have other things on his mind when he's dealing with a problem. There's something else that's nagging at him in the back of his mind that he needs to solve also. So I need to get this done. I want to get it done quickly. Or there are moments when he's irritable and you don't know why, but it's because something else is going on. And you want, to have those little things. Or something very good happened that day. So he has a great, he's...
Outside of acting, your passion is still golf.
Yes. Yeah, very much so.
We're not going to worry about guitar playing is not going to
golf swing. Yeah,
you are.
I'm always, in a search of that muscle memory, that thing that's going to, move me to the next place. Because now that I've reached, going from 18 to 12 is not a difficult process.
Right.
And going from 12 to 7 is a little difficult. But going from 7 to 4 is a little hard now that I'm sort of in that space.
We're not talking about approaching par, aren't we?
It's really difficult to get down to that par, to that scratch.
And how will you do it? Other than just playing a lot?
Practice.
Yeah.
It's totally about practicing the little things. We take for granted that, I would like to get on the green in 2-putt, but now you reach the point where you want to get on the green in 1-putt, or you want to hit shots to the point that every time you hit a shot, you want it to go in, if that's your intention. Because I used to chip to get close.
Right.
Now I try and chip in.
Right.
And when I do that, like sometimes 4 times during a round, I can do it.
Right.
Or I can get so close that it scares the guys I'm playing with. So it's little things like that you want to improve upon, so that when you're in a certain place, you're not panicked, you don't worry about it. You think you can make shots out of the bunker. You think you can make shots from anywhere off the green.
Why don't you play with Tiger in these pro-ams?
Tiger has people that he plays with all the time.
Oh, he does?
Yeah.
Same guy or whoever might play with him.
I can play with him recreationally occasionally.
And how's that?
Well, I'll run into Charles or Michael or somebody who's going to, play with Tiger.
Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan?
Yeah, and they go, come on, let's play. We're going to play with Tiger. I go, okay. Yeah.
Now, of those 4, someone told me Michael's still playing in the right around 80 or something. Is that right?
Sort of. Yeah.
Sort of means he's not there.
Well, Michael...
But Barkley is not even close, is he?
No. Charles is always threatening to quit playing golf.
I know. He's always trying to do everything.
It's a very fluid practice swing. It's just something about putting the ball right in front of him that changes everything. Is that right? His practice swing is extremely fluid.
No, why can't Michael play better?
Because he plays all the time and he doesn't practice, I don't think. Michael will play 54 holes rather than playing 18 and figuring out the things that you did wrong that day and then going to the range and working on them. You see guys like VJ. He plays 18 holes. The things that went wrong that day, he goes to the range and works on them.
Tiger does the same thing.
Yeah.
Does the same thing.
All of them do.
All the good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what I try and do. I watch them and say, oh, that's what I should do. Okay, so all the things that I couldn't do today, I'll go work on, and I'll get more comfortable doing it.
Yeah. I mean, they really do know how to practice, too. I mean, practice for them has clear definition.
Oh, sure.
I'm going out there to accomplish something.
Right, to work on my swing plane or to make sure I'm coming through at this place. And it's very meticulous.
But it provides great satisfaction for you.
Yes.
For you.
Oh, totally.
Because there's a challenge to get better and better as it is. But flipping back to acting, is there still within you the sense that you can get better in acting, or is it simply bringing your own interpretation to a particular script?
No, you can always get better at what we do.
What are you better at that you weren't doing 2 years ago? In the same way you're doing things in golf that are better than they were 2 years ago.
I'm better at making choices about the things that I want to do.
But that's about choosing roles.
No. It's about understanding one's limitations. You know, there are times that I read things that I want to do, and I'll say to myself, okay, this character is running, 2/3 of the script. I just don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And like I told someone not long ago, I like action movies, and I always love them, but there comes a time when everybody knows I'm 57 years old. So if I get in a fight with a 20-year-old in a movie, reality says I'm going to lose unless I'm some highly skilled assassin that's been, never not worked out a day in his life, and he's kept those skills highly, highly, highly at this level. So I don't want to insult an audience's intelligence by, doing things like that. I would much rather, find a script, an action film where I'm a sniper.
Right.
I'll shoot people from a distance.
But can you... I was thinking, I just happened to see, because it was on television, North by Northwest,
Right.
Cary Grant.
Of course.
Now, do you have any great desire to play a Cary Grant character?
Sure. Only because I've been going through my career a lot of times trying to recreate the characters or situations that I saw in films when I was growing up that gave me great pleasure. I was talking on the plane to some execs this morning about a Western because I watched Westerns all my life, and they gave me great pleasure, and it was one of the most fun things I could do when I was a kid was stand in the middle of the street and see who was faster with my friends, but you never could tell because you were shooting cap guns, and they always said, I got you, you miss me. But wanting to do that, just stand in the middle of the street and see if I'm faster than the guy that's standing down the street, or, shoot from behind a rock and see somebody fall off a building, do all those cowboy things. So I would love to do a Western. I would love to do a Cary Grant movie because I enjoy watching those Cary Grant movies. As many law enforcement agents as I've played in all these different films, I've never played a James Bond-like character. I would love to be a spy. I just want to recreate all those things that I thought made the movies so great for me. I still think make the movies great for kids that are growing up now and watching them.
Is there anybody's career you'd rather have, asked a different way? Wouldn't Clint Eastwood be the perfect career to follow?
Sure. Yeah.
Because he did it all.
Yeah.
And he did Westerns. Mm-hmm. He directed.
He did some romances, he did some mysteries, he did some thrillers. He's
and he had a persona as well.
Didn't do a good horror movie, though.
That's right. He didn't do a horror. But he's also grown, too. I mean,
Yes.
there is a clear evolution in terms of the things he's done.
Yeah.
What about Morgan Freeman?
Wow. Well, Morgan is like this consummate actor that I still watch myself and watch Morgan and say, I'm still not doing it sort of with the ease that I see Morgan
there is that
do it.
about him. Yeah.
I mean, Morgan, just slips into the skin of whatever character is, and it's seamless.
And it has a kind of gravitas that, there's something, if you see Morgan, you think, this is what you think. There's a wise man. No
very
matter
much so.
what the character is.
Yeah, there's no question.
There's wisdom in that person.
Always. There's no question about it. I can see myself working sometimes. I never see Morgan working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And when you see an actor working, you can see them doing what?
Thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thinking, looking. Sometimes actors' eyes sneak somewhere.
Yeah. So she's like you. She acts like you do.
Yes.
In other words, you bring the same kind of techniques to the moment.
Right. She's done all the preparation she needs to do. She understands what the moment requires and how to get to that place without, going over in a corner doing a lot of deep breaths.
Right.
And, she and I, Joe was always amazed because he would not know sort of when to say action because we're standing there having conversations about her kids,
Television.
about a basketball game. She was watching American Idol last year. She was so caught up in the show, and she was cheering for Bo. And Bo was just so good last night. And Joe would go, action. And she just go, and she go right into this dark space. And he say, cut. And she come out, and I really hope he does well tonight because he was doing so good. It's like amazing. We had a lot of laughs. It was interesting to me because the first time we did a rehearsal, we were at a table reading, and as soon as we got to it, she just kind of broke down and started, going into that dark space, and I was like, oh my God, we're going to need a comedian in a trailer every day help her come out of this. But she went home. She did all the things she needed to do. By the time we got there, she knew exactly the depths of the darkness to go into at any particular moment, and she never lived in it.
And you're the same. You don't take it home with you. In other words,
No.
you never so in character you don't let the character go, as some actors do.
No, I have too many things to do during the course of a day. You know, people call, they want to talk to me. They don't want to talk to Lorenzo, or definitely didn't want to talk to Ordell or Jules.
No, exactly. Yeah. Is Spike a great director? A good director? What
I
is he?
think so. Spike has a definite vision, and he believes in what he's doing when he's doing it. And it just so happens that right now the stories that he's telling are stories that are kind of personal, and they don't reach a general audience, you know, and that's okay. As filmmakers, you have a right to do that. He's not the greatest actor's director, but I always said that Spike was smart because he hired actors who knew how to act and do what they needed to do.
You and Denzel and people like
and
that.
He had a core group during the beginning. All of us were like great theater actors, or good theater actors. Me, Giancarlo Esposito, Fishburne, Bill Nunn. It was just a core group of people that had worked together in other situations, so that when we saw each other, we could just kind of do anything from improv to whatever, and it all was cohesive and made sense. And a smart director will hire people like that and just kind of sit out of the way and kind of let you do what you do.
Who is the greatest actor's director you ever worked with?
Roger Michelle.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Roger Michelle was amazing.
What did he do?
He actually took notes like a theater director between shots. You know, you do a scene, he would take notes, and he would come over and say, "Okay, now when you got to this particular place, you went up, and if you wait to go up 3 sentences later, then the meaning of what you said will have a lot more gravitas." And he said, "I don't want you to go so hot right here, because we're going to go to this particular place, and I'm going to, move the camera over here so that when you get to that place, we'll be right in your face. And that's when I want you to have this great emotional moment." And he just was so meticulous about, the things he was doing, but he was never pushy. Always very complimentary about what you had done, but saying, "Now this will make it better." Not, some directors go, let's do it different this time. But Roger was very, he was cajoling and interesting. And he got, an amazing performance out of Ben Affleck in that film, Changing Lanes.
Yeah. That was an interesting film for an actor.
Yeah,
because two, but you and Ben.
Yeah, because my character could have been a lot more volatile than he was, and Roger choreographed all those things to lead him up to that explosive moment.
It's great to have you here, my friend.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here.